Oh, we gonna turn it down a little bit. All right, we got three in here. What's good with it? How's everybody doing, man? Everybody good? It's Thursday. Y'all know what it is, man. It's your man Big Clip Eastward, aka Mr. Graybeards Matter. Just try to get in the pocket a little bit, man. Get in that zone. Wait for a couple folks to get in here so we can talk about why some battle leave scars or why men sometimes struggle a little bit with the weight we carrying. Yeah, and before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead on and put some lotion on so y'all won't be saying gray hands matter too. You did. I probably might have put a little bit more on, but it's all good though. As non seriousness, but a serious topic that we have tonight. You know, we're gonna go ahead and get busy, right? Because it's funny. It's funny how sometimes topics that we talk about are important, right? Because you get, or I get a lot of pre-feedback. Like the topic will come up, and those who are pretty regular will be like, "Well, what you gonna talk about?" Right? And then so I try to be more descriptive in the description of what we're gonna talk about to stimulate the desire to be here at the Graybeards Matter podcast. You did? So without further ado, man, we're gonna get busy because I really was wanting more folks to come in so we can have more dialogue. But I know again, it's Thursday. You got a lot of graduations going on. There's a lot, you know. It's just that season. So I don't take none of this personal because it's four people watching. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just a little Clip Eastwood. And for real, it just takes one to have a conversation. So I'm with it. We got 3 extras and a couple reactions. I got my note cards, my fancy Graybeards Matter note cards, and I'm with it, man. We cut the music off. We're gonna talk our talk, man, and just have some fun, man, and have some introspective conversation about us men, right? As much as it is for men, we know we have a lot of viewers that are women, and it is equally important to get the message to them as well. Yeah, my sons is watching, right? So it's important that they understand because as a parent, we may have, or I may have, well, without question, there were some things I would have done differently if I had the maturity and the expanded viewpoint of what being a man and a father and a mentor then as I do today. So let's get to it, man. This Thursday continues the Survivor Series, part 2, with the conversation that men avoid but silently live through every day, right? Couple questions. Well, let me slow down. So what we're going to do is tonight, we're going to go through 4 different segments, right? One segment is going to be when did men learn silence? The pressure men carry quietly, how trauma affects communication, and what healing looks like for men. And overdig again, man. This is we just having real conversations. This isn't no clinical study. This isn't no clinical certifications. We just real man having real conversations with real people, right? So I can't emphasize enough that it's just one perspective. It's not my way. It's just my opinion or my viewpoint. I really, 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 really want people to chime in, or not people, excuse me, the viewers, the people, us in the Matterverse to chime in so we can get that dialogue back and forth, right? I get it, man. For some men, self-included, it's a touchy subject, right? And a lot of times it's touchy because we're not versed enough to know how to talk about it. It's been easier for us to suppress or avoid or go around or just, not disregard, but to a certain extent, that's what it is. If we don't have to address it, then we don't have anything to talk about. But anyway, why do men hide their struggles? Why is silence often mistaken for strength? How does trauma, pressure, pride, fatherhood, and responsibility shape the way men communicate or don't? Episode 23 isn't about pretending that we have all the answers. It's about opening the door to have honest conversations. That's really what I want for us tonight. Real men, real talk, real stories, right? So what are we doing tonight? We're talking from a real life perspective, not clinical, just real. As I say, and will continue to say, it's just my opinion, not my way. So let's have a conversation. And that means your views and dialogue are just as important as mine. We're good. We'll stop in between segments in case we have any questions before we move on, right? Because I really want to have a clear understanding of where we are, right? That's what the Gray Beards Matter. One of the key premises that we even started our journey in this podcast lane to begin with, to have a common understanding, right? We don't have to always agree, but before we can go holler at somebody else, i.e. the youngins or those who just don't know, we don't want to have a bunch of mixed up messages, right? When people need answers or seeking answers, and you got a bunch of different voices, you got a bunch of different information, it's like sucking on a fire hydrant. And then how do you filter that? How do you filter to let through what applies to you? But hopefully in this space of ours, in this Matterverse, we can communicate that in the sense that people know that it's coming from a safe space, right? It's already been through the coding and filter that we've had to experience, so we can relay the information or at least the direction to someone else. So it's all good though, man. What's going on? We got four in here. So let's rap, huh? Okay. Whoa. One thing's for sure, two things for certain. As a man, a lot of men were taught how to survive, but never taught how to communicate. So the question is, what did that cost them, right? What did survival cost men by not knowing how to communicate? That's a question. I would love for somebody to be able to chime in and talk about it. Right? So some men come from tough upbringings, right? From the fathers or lack thereof. Strong moms who didn't have time to nurture, right? Uncles, friends, cousins, neighborhood OGs, or however y'all refer to them in from where you are respectively, is that, little boys don't cry, right? I'm guilty of that with my sons. Man up, suck it up. We don't do that, right? I didn't realize what it was until I became older, shit, even probably recently, crying was not allowed. My uncles and my cousins and the neighborhood didn't allow that. Um, you don't show when you're hurt, right? You don't take the opportunity to express yourself when something isn't right. That's just not what we did, right? It wasn't acceptable in the eyes of other men around us. Even some women, right? Um, you know the phrase, "Cuddle that crying up," or "I'm gonna give you something to cry about." So you learn at a very young age. My sons, from the moment they can express themselves, right? Nah, don't, no, we ain't doing that, right? Then you emphasize it a little more and a little more and a little more the older that they got. And then you get to something, hey, yo, you want something to cry for? And then when you get older, you suppress that because that's not what you want to hear. Not knowing that your cousins and your neighbors are going through the same thing that you're going through. Their parents told them you better not cry. If you come in this house crying from playing Amani, BTA, and then send you back outside, or tell you that you can't go back outside, and you wanted to desperately because whatever you were going through was only in the moment, right? But you knew that if you expressed yourself at a young age or communicated at a young age that you was going through something that you was going to get ridiculed or chastised for, one way or the other, because what you were doing wasn't right, if it wasn't tough. You know what I mean? And I understand tough love. I understand you can't be soft in your neighborhood, but sometimes the people that you need that nurturing from, that schooling from, that teaching from, that safe space to be in, that's where the BS isn't recognized. And if I had anything to tell either one of my boys, I'd be like, yo, my bad. I really apologize because I wasn't aware of the trauma that I was putting you through because of what I wanted y'all to represent. You know what I mean? How I wanted y'all to be. You know, tough dad, tough love, tough men, right? That's supposed to be the result. Well, what that did is it made a false sense of security because then what you do is you inherently place a standard of communication of what you feel is acceptable. And as your children or as your men or your boys grow into men, how do they ascertain when is a good time to keep it real with you, right? The workplace, as you get older, you get into the job, you know, you're already told to be tough. Um, you're told that don't let nobody disrespect you, whatever that means, right? So a lot of times, as we discussed in previous episodes, people get respect and principle confused. Oh, I'm standing on principle and let nobody disrespect me. It's not the same thing. So then we find ourselves addressing things that's causing consequences in that moment that linger. Self too. Because we didn't have the effective communication from a younger age to know how to communicate of what we feel somebody shouldn't be doing. It's not always black and white. When that black and white turns into that paperwork, then when consequences come in. And again, consequences aren't always in the moment. Relationships. Let's talk about it. First one, your parents. All right? Mama, child, father, child, possibly, hopefully, prayerfully. Cousins, get a little older, might have a little crush. Get a little older, you might have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Get a little older, you might have somebody that you dating. Get a little older, now your peers and people that you going to school with, or people you're in the military with, people you going to college with, people you in your workplace with, people you end up marrying. They're all different types of relationships. But how do you communicate in any of them? Do you feel safer in some? Are you more inclined to be able to be more articulate in one than the other? I would really ask yourself, how do you say that? Right? Because if you don't know how you feel in the one, how do you tell that person that you call yourself trusting how you really feel? Right? And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if we don't take the time to be honest with ourselves about what's going on, right? How do we communicate to somebody else and expect them to get a clear understanding? I don't know. I'm just rapping though, right? Pride, trauma, and emotional conditioning. We've talked about that. Emotional conditioning is heavy, right? Because as that tough dad, as that tough father, when you aren't allowed to express yourself, or you are conditioned to be in an emotion where you have to be super hard or super tough, right? No tears, All right, yo, you done? Get up off me, go play. We are telling our sons, sometimes our daughters, that you expressing yourself in a non-masculine way isn't acceptable. But how do you expect a child, right, to determine what masculinity is if they don't even know what being a boy is yet, right? Because everything that children do is for the approval of their parent or parents, again, hopefully. But from a man's perspective, because we was raised to rub some dirt on it, pick it up, suck it up. Better get back out there. Then we transfer that same energy or same understandings to our cousins, our nieces, well, not necessarily our nieces, but our nephews, our sons, the neighborhood youngins that we portray ourselves to be so thorough in front of, as opposed to saying, yo, it's more manly to take this child up under your wing and see what's going on with them. Let them know that they can trust you. This is a safe space. And if anybody chastise them, then because you came to me, trusting me with your emotions and feelings, and I'm riding for that. Don't worry. We here. I got you. Big Cliff Eastwood ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. But in their eyes, our eyes, that's not what we did. But hey, you own that. First segment, when do men learn silence? We already talked about it. We was told to man up, stop crying, emotional suppression, generational trauma. I didn't know what my father went through until I had conversations with him. But I know what I went through because my mom got divorced, and I knew that Mac wasn't hearing that. You know what I'm saying? And then I wasn't the most well-behaved son, right? and crying wasn't allowed when you got the BTA, you know what I mean? And then my uncles was super thug, right? And super whatever. They was with it. And they put you outside and handle that, BTA. And then let the other uncles BTA. And you better not cry. Put them up, matter of fact. What's happening? Emotional trauma, man. You learn, right? The irony of that is that you learn how to suppress your emotions. You learn how to suppress what you want to say, right? But if you do this was crazy, right? So imagine you taking the child out, and they've been watching you drive from toddler to 15, and then you throw them the keys like, all right, bet, let's ride. But you haven't trained them on how to survive it, or how to survive the road, how to survive traffic, how to survive all the variables that can hurt them, that can lead them in a safe space, whatever. There's signals, right? There's signs. There's everything around them that they need to be successful. But if you don't allow them to put themselves in a position where they can see the signs and understand what those signs are. Red means stop, green means go, upside down triangle, slow down. Yellow, train might be coming. They see the arms down, they don't know, train come by. If we don't give these kids the tools, right? If we don't receive the tools and we put in the traffic, what's the likelihood that we're going to succeed? A lot of times men don't get the tools or the designs of how to navigate the emotional component of life at a young age. And then it hinders us in how we express ourselves, right? In several different fashions. So this is my question for y'all. Viewer questions. It's 3 of them. Were men taught to communicate emotionally growing up? That's one question. Somebody holler at me. We got, hey, viewers, talk to me. Second question, is silence mistaken for strength? Do you or do you even know the difference? Do you feel that your strength comes from not being able to express yourself? Or do you feel that when you was teaching your youngin', he better not cry, that he's being tough, he's being a strong person, a strong young man, right? Because if that's the case, then where's the safe space at? If it ain't with you, how do we expect them to come to us under any circumstance? So when we charge them to go to be a certain way, and they are that certain way because we condition them based off of how we were conditioned, and they go out there and they make decisions based off of what they feel that you would do, or how you would have them be. Whose cross is that to bear? We just rapping. Third question that I got for the audience in segment 1. Do men feel vulnerability, or do we feel consequences? And second part of that question, or do we feel that being in a vulnerable state can have a consequence? I don't know, man. Y'all quiet. What's up? What we on? We got 10 people talking, man. Hey, we just here. That was segment 1. We got 3 more to go. And I promise you, on everything I love, I hope I'm not wasting your time, right? I really want to see what's going on. We just rap. Whoa, my bad. I'm just trying to figure out what's up. Trying to get some dialogue. Oh, cool, oh, cool. My bad. Bet. Bet. What's good, Bump? My man Hendo was in the building for sure. Let me see who all's in here. What's good, Just? Big Chuck is in the building, man. I appreciate y'all coming into the Gray Bears Matter podcast, episode 23, man. Because the world we live in these days, everybody want overnight results, not knowing what you put in is what you get out. It takes work. Yo, bro. Benjamin Bro says, I learned on speaking. Always gave me more strength, even if it was mentally to psych myself up. If I spoke whatever out loud, it created power. Hey, bro, if more people realize the power of self-promotion, right? They wouldn't accept defeat so easily, right? Because you will let another person mark you out of your own progress. Not you, bro. I'm already knowing we on, but I'm talking about people let somebody else distract them. People will let other people knock them off their square or off their path towards success because they didn't open their mouths, right? And they gave too much thought and credence to what somebody else felt about them, as if their input had any relevance other than them saying it. And it's really irrelevant to what you want. Man, for sure. My man Justin says, silence was taught from expression being villainized. Okay. Silence was taught from expression being villainized. Word. We said that. I think we've had parallel statements with that, good bro. You're absolutely right, Doc. That goes along with what I was saying about anything other than silence wasn't tough, right? Unless you was being tough. That was your way of being strong, right? Or the perception of that's what it was. But a lot of times, even oh man, I'm really trying to not, I'm trying to be Gray Bears Matter and not necessarily Cliff Eastwood right now, right? So what we are saying, right, is the reason why we should give ourselves passes when we deal with other men who aren't aware of that, right? And I say that because a lot of men don't know that in the adult age, they don't know how to communicate, right? So what they'll do is, instead of being silent, homeboy, they'll put themselves on the front, right? And then when they put that alligator mouth over that hummingbird tail, then sometimes situations arise where 2 and 2 don't add up. Is that our fault? Did we raise them? Because we're not talking about meeting them in the sand lot. We talk about on the concrete, right? In real life situations, where a lot of times, going back to a previous episode, if I'm on a sidewalk and you from around the corner, you don't know no different. You just chose to come from around the corner because that's where you couldn't function at, right? So you think that you go into a different space and you're gonna pump yourself up to be something that you're not, because you can't find it within yourself to articulate what's really going on with you. But like my man Hindu say, yo, don't nobody pump Clip up like Clip. Nobody, right? And because I'm cool on how my function and how my posture is in life, I don't have to walk on eggshells for nobody, so I stand on me. Right? I don't get caught up in that standing on business talk, man. What's that? What is that? Right? What is standing on business? If you solid, you solid. You ain't got to justify to somebody else that you stood on business. There shouldn't be anything that you got to promote. Right? It should already be understood when you're dealing with people like yourself, when you're dealing with people who understand you, right? When you're dealing with people who understand that you might not be in the space that you want to be in, but you're trying to get there. You're at a perfect example of imperfection. What is standing on business to them? Because that's your man. It's not somebody you're dealing with. Anyway. What's good, son? All right. Big Hustle's in the building. My son is in the game, man. Nah. MD. Neo, what's good, bro? Let me address Dick Chuck before we get into segment 2. Growing up, my old man didn't allow me to be emotional because his words raising me to protect my siblings while he thought was soft. Hey, yo, bro, for sure. Yo, Big Chuck, hey, man, your father was like my father. They don't know each other. Your father, my father are come from 2 different backgrounds. I'm black. Big Chuck is Caucasian. The disparaging differences that people want to put on us now based off of whatever BS that they want to put in the air, your statement alone lets us know that we're not too far off, bro. You did. And it's unfortunate that our parents, our fathers, put us in that situation that we wore that, right? It wasn't just a matter of fact of us protecting our siblings, because my sister is younger. She's 6 years younger. By the time she came outside, I was off the porch. So really, who was I protecting? Because I was outside, right? At that point, I was just protecting myself because I didn't want to have a crack in my armor to somebody else, knowing that I wasn't developed yet, right? I wasn't emotionally developed at 12, 14. I had opinions, I had thoughts. I was hard-headed. I was trying to consume everything that I was taught. Suck it up. I'm gonna give you something to cry for. I know you're not. Man, we don't do that over here. Man, we don't do the sissy talk. And when it's not about you, you hear somebody else getting that wrath, you're like, shit, not me. Can't be me. I don't want no part of that. So you condition yourself, or you put armor around yourself so you ain't got to go through that, right? And then don't be from an area or from a lineage where you got to defend yourself, or you learn to defend yourself, or you're trained to defend yourself, because that training turns into an armor of aggression, right? And unfortunately, that armor of aggression is really misunderstood from everyone else, not knowing that that's the only emotion that you know how to express. For sure. Big Neo's in the building. It's the fun. Hey, welcome to the Gray Bears Matter podcast, man. I haven't seen you here in our world before, man. It's the Matterverse. Welcome. Yeah, bro, Neo, my man. Hey, self-promotion, it goes a long way, good brother. Yeah, for sure, Hindu. Everybody wants to see your vision, right? But so I first of all, I appreciate y'all chiming in, man. I'm with it all. I couldn't really see it. But bro, let me tell you something, man. A year ago, I would never thought about no podcast. It wasn't my lane, right? So I go back to what he was saying in the beginning of this one here, and I say this all the time. Because I'm keeping it thorough, I believe, and it's not my way, just my opinion, and it's open for dialogue. That if one person come in and we exchange, I'm straight. But shit, squad up, we here. You dig what I'm saying? DJ's in the building, Big Danielle, y'all know what she is, huh? The illest female dump truck driver in the DMV, Miss Sketch and Etch on whatever glass you need. What's good with it, Miss Broker? Huh? Talk to her. Yeah, but my man Justice said you gotta be able to back it up. No doubt, right? But see, this is the misconception on that, bro. I'm willing to debate on that one. What are we backing up? Right? Because if you solid, and a man ain't gonna test you unless he just he's willing to crash out, not knowing the consequences of his decision. Because what I'm learning as I get older in this refined vintage age is I hope to be able to give myself a pass, because me giving me a pass is for me. It's not for you, right? Because the other side of me really want to handle you however I need to, that I'm used to, that I'm proficient in, right? But now if I don't give me a pass and the consequences of me dealing with you don't affect you, it affects me and everything that I call myself being a man for. My job, my household, my family, my loved ones, my wife, my kids, my grandkids. We don't want to recognize, or it comes from the trauma of us not being taught any different. And unfortunately, a lot of us have been taught that same way. So when we don't even as youngins, we didn't even understand what all gas, no brakes meant. But we had to be all gas, no brakes because anything else was unacceptable. Let's see here. My man Neo said he needs your guidance and accountability. Hey, Hustle, I'm trying to, hey man, I'll take that from you, brother. That's my man's right there. I'm still a little hurt about that 20 year, but I'm gonna be there though. And my man said I can speak on Dawg's behalf. The reason why his dad was saying that, because no matter what he knew, his son was closer to his siblings, and he had to lead as a man versus an older brother and so forth, for sure. So he had to carry the weight of an adult, even though he was a kid. Hey, what's up, Bruce Wayne? Young Hammer, what's cracking? Hey, but Hindu, question for you, bro. Though I agree with you 1,000%, and I do overdig that, bro. I agree with you 1,000%. Was it fair to Big Chuck to be put in that situation without training him up, right? Because as a father, no. I ain't gonna put it just on fathers. As a man, right? It's our responsibility to give the youngins, regardless whether it's our child or niece or nephew, somebody in the neighborhood, somebody that looks up to us, something, whatever the game may be. It's I can't. It's my opinion. Everybody entitled to their own. Ain't no smoke. I'm not gonna give somebody the keys and expect them to go across town safely, right? I'm a hypocrite when I say this because I didn't always do this with my sons, right? I expected them to have the clarity on what I wanted without explanation, right? And then when it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, then I held them accountable. And then the rough, tough discipline that comes along with that was really unfair because I didn't give them the tools. So here we are now talking about, or here I am now talking about, yo, my bad, son. I wasn't aware of what I wasn't doing, right? You know, what's up? We're gonna get to that part. Yo, P. Will's in the building, man. Yeah. I promise you, P-Dub, you know I will. Oh, Hindu, you already know, bro. See, yeah, I agree with you, bro. What's good, Miss Tanya? Godfather's in the building. Hey, man, welcome to the Gray Beards Matter podcast. We're going to go ahead on to segment 2, man. We had a lot of good dialogue on section 1, man. I appreciate that. Roro say, a lot of men had to learn to move off, not to move off emotional decisions, and that's why a lot of kids are soft these days because they get in their feelings when they, for sure, they instantly jump into the physical matter because they never learn how to learn. Oh, for sure. For sure. I agree with you on that one more than the other one, bro. Right? See, we had a different coming up. That BTA been around, right? And it came from everybody. Grandma, grandpa, neighbor, mom, pops, uncle, big brother, big cousin, all that. For sure. But now these youngins don't get that contact, right? And I don't mean just from a physical standpoint. Contact for these youngins now means picking their phone up, trying to learn how to live life. And then the lack of contact, check me out, come from their parents letting them resort to trying to figure it out through the phone. Come on, Eastwood. Let's talk about it, man. Here we are, segment 2, the pressure men carry quietly. And this is probably, the first one is called provider pressure, right? And that's something I had to learn. My sister-in-law was just talking about this just the other day. Provider pressure. Right? I don't have no problem telling the word of my old lady make way more than I do. But I ain't tripping off a dollar. That ain't what I'm talking about, right? But for a long time, because of what we already spoke about earlier, is that because we weren't able to express anything else, all we knew was, or all we thought was, or all some of us was taught was provide, right? But what is provision, right? Whether your faith is founded or not, as a young man without the proper upbringing, provision meant put your bread on the table, right? Put your bread on the table and show your worth. If you in that system of where your worth is needed, right? Whether it be, for me, my first provision was as a father, right? In the military, straight off the block, still doing block stuff in the military, not having grown up into that facet yet in the military, putting you in situations where you really need to be proficient in your skill set, right? In order to come back home, right? So then you're in a whole different space. And you just happy to be here instead of being like some people who weren't as fortunate. And then you just want to be miseducated, and your ego lets you think that financial is how you provide. I'm of the belief now, right? My opinion, not my way, is that provision that's part of it, right? I would say that'd be 1/10 of everything that you need to do, right? See, so when you provide financially, that's you justifying why you got your ass up out the bed. Whoa. Hold on, we got issues. Give me 1 second, my battery's going low. I am tripping. Are we hot? No, we are not. What's up? Yo, we are not getting no juice. What's up? Give me 1 second, good people. I just don't want us to, okay. Woo. All right, bet. Crisis averted. Yeah. See, the good Lord provided me to see something that shouldn't have been on that screen. He's gonna lose this whole thing, this whole conversation, right? Provisions, right? Let me not get around the bush, and just go straight to it, right? So you got provisions. It's not just financial. Good men, just being there, present, your structure, your posture, that's a provision. Being there emotionally, as we already discussed, is a provision. Being there socially, in the midst, in the presence, is a provision. Being there mentally, even if you don't have the answers, you got an ear, you got posture, you got confidence. Where they may be lacking, you're there. That's provision. Man, there's so many other ways that you as men and we as men need to understand that it's bigger than the billfold. When we do that, right, it takes a pressure off of us, and it lets you appreciate yourself a lot more on what you're doing from a physical standpoint, but it's not always about that. And when you incorporate the intangibles versus the tangibles, and you understand that the person that you are, or the people that you are providing for, has an appreciation instead of an expectation, when that alarm clock goes off, you're not even tripping. All right, man, let me go do what I have to do, right? What I want to do, so that the provision that I'm providing is going to be there, so I can have the presence. Anyhow, yo, protecting our family is pressure. And as men, right? As men, like Big Chuck, Big Hindu was saying earlier, my man Knock is on his jump for sure. I'm gonna get with you, right? Give me 1 sec, bro. After we get on segment 2, I'm gonna come back and read your junk. But as men, right? So we come talk about this family protection thing. I, at my vintage age, don't hold any pressure more valuable. I don't give a darn what anybody presents to me. I am of the belief, I am of the understanding, and I am of the desire for anybody to understand, leave mine alone. There is no risk I won't take, right? There is no feelings that will be involved from a regretful standpoint on my end. I don't desire that. I don't, unfortunately, my family knows how serious I am about that, right? Every family should know that the man in their household or the provider of the house or the man of the house, the father, family, whatever, is that person that they should be able to go to. And in any sense where someone or something may disrupt the continuity of the household. As a man amongst like-minded men, I don't know any other core value that they have other than their belief that exceeds protecting their family. But see, this is where the family gets real comfortable. As men, it's not on us to let the pressure be seen of how serious we hold that. As men, it's not on us to put the pressure on somebody else to let them know exactly what should take place outside of letting us know what's going on, right? Sometimes that pressure is so great on them that we put on them by the display of whatever, whether it be actions or words, that it's wiser for them not to tell us some things because of the consequences that may come along with that, right? But then we listen to the news, we watch our neighborhoods, we watch our traffic, we watch the things that affect our families or the things that can affect our families, and then we might be able to get across why it's a concern. Or that communication may fall on deaf ears or misunderstood ears because we are speaking in our language, right? And then when we speak our language, it becomes the whole Rosetta Stone thing. Like they need a translation of what it is we're trying to say. But we get so amped up and so focused on the importance of what we're saying to who we hold the most important to us, it can be convoluted with passion, right? And then the passion can be misunderstood as aggression. Then aggression comes from whatever we have gone through in life that didn't allow us to slow down, like Bro say, and take the emotions out of it to make sure that what we're saying is understood. When it comes to the family, I'm not gonna front. I don't hide that well. You know what I'm saying? And I don't let them think that I'm playing about them. And don't let anybody else think that I ain't playing about them. In my circle, right, the people who are in Cliff Eastwood's radius, who has my ear, no, right? But what kind of pressure is that, man? And it's nothing that we want to get misunderstood, so we internalize it. We've already talked about, my man say it's the fear of appearing weak. That's something we carry quietly, and depression hidden behind routine. So that's a dangerous bullet that I was really hesitant to put on there, right? But I don't know about you because I'm not clinically certified in what we're talking about. We're just talking about opinions and perspectives on and sometimes post-life experience conversation, right? But that depression word is very, very sensitive yet critical on how people function, right? Depression, unless you really, really, really paying attention to your people, it really has no indicators, right? Not in the beginning. And it's easy to mask because if the same person that you see who could be depressed or has depressive characteristics, if you can mask that as long as their daily routines don't change. And if their daily routines don't change, then that means they aren't taking the opportunity to get out what's troubling them. That's just not, man. That could be women, it could be kids, it could be our parents, it could be anybody. And it's a burden, right? But this is what's crazy. This is what's unfortunate, not crazy, excuse me. A lot of times people might not even know they're in that state until it's too late, right? And unfortunately, sometimes too late for some people doesn't allow a return road. So we really need to be cognizant of what that is. So the questions I have for segment 2, why do men often isolate themselves instead of speaking? That's me. I get it, right? I'm a part of this conversation because a lot of these things are coming from, a lot of my questions are coming from things that I've gone through, right? Or things that I know men and myself who had conversations I've gone through. Second question, why do men have social expectations made emotional? Like Bobo said earlier, emotional honesty becomes difficult for us. Why is that? These are questions for y'all. I'm talking, right? And do people truly listen when men open up? I really want to know that one. I'm gonna give y'all a couple of seconds to catch up because we got a delay. But do people really listen when men open up? And we only on section 2. We got 2 more to go. What's going on here? What's going on in section? What are we talking about? Whoa. We all caught up? Okay, cool. Godfather say, yo, provider can be stressful. You are looked at as if it's your job to make things happen. Ain't no doubt, Godfather, for sure. But you got to understand this is what I want for you, Godfather, and anybody else, myself included, right? Understand that when you provide for somebody, man, as stressful as it can be, give yourself props for doing it, right? Because if you don't allow yourself to acknowledge your effort or give yourself the small trophies, it's not you pat yourself on the back or you on your own. You on your own job. You are acknowledging the fact that you got up. You are acknowledging the fact that you put in your 8, your 10, 12, 16 for some of us, and you were able, right? And then you thank the good Lord for being able. And then you put yourself in a position where that you are able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, dog, we did that today. We can do that again tomorrow. And if you're so fortunate to get you a couple of days break, Control, Alt, Delete, get your head in the game, man, pull that helmet on, put some gloves on, we go fight another day. Knox say when we grew up, we got a reason to cry if we was just crying for petty stuff, for sure. One of the reasons why a lot of these younger brothers are crybabies is because they never had a former man in their lives to teach them the firm side of being a man. When they grow up in a house with some women, they sometimes do what they see women do. They become super sensitive to most things. Bruh, Nah, why you doing that, baby boy? Come on, buck. Yeah, I agree with you, Knock. And unfortunately, when you see some of these boys who haven't had a man's man in their livelihood, and they start mimicking the estrogen around them, somehow the estrogen turns into pheromones and they breathe that shit in and they become estrogen laced and they project that out, right? And they make decisions in life that allow them to think that they're somebody that they aren't. But this is the crazy part for men like you and me, not. Sometimes men inhale that estrogen through the pheromones of the women that's around them. They want to put on this mannish front based off of what they see other men be, right? And then when they see other, when they, because they can't be that, they want to portray that. And then when they get presented with something that they'd have to be a man about, then the estrogen comes out. Woo! Nah, you a bad, yeah, you wrong for that, Buck. You knew that was gonna hit me, man. Come on, bruh. Don't do me that way. I'm trying to be real professional, man, on episode 23, Survivor Series Part 2, bruh. But there you go, right? This is my caveat to that, not. Because men like yourself and myself who are of the mindset that we have, that alone is part of our survival, right? Because it's not that we tolerate, it's not that we tolerate what goes on around us, is that we have the discipline enough to not acknowledge, right? And that in and of itself can be a battle. That in and of itself can be something that we sometimes feel that if we address it, then we can possibly make a difference with it, right? Not knowing that alone can be an unnecessary risk in itself. So we have to survive our desires at times for our own benefit, for our own ability to provide for our families, for our own ability to provide for ourselves, our own ability to tell ourselves, yo, give yourself a pass, self. It's okay. Everything doesn't need to be addressed. My man Hindu say yo, because it's a big difference in responding and moving with a purpose. Come on, cuz. You already know what it is. But but Hindu, so you say it's on, what do you say? Oh, it's on a leader on how he sets the volume. Yo, bro. I agree, bro. And dig, right? This is what I was taught several times over, and I try to live this. The basic definition of leadership is the ability to influence others to do what they know needs to be done, right? They can do it when you're there, just watching. They can do it when you're there, assisting. They can do it when you ain't there and get the job done. That's what leaders create, right? Now, we can get into that, but everybody ain't going to understand what we're talking about. The ability to influence what needs to be done in their absence. All right, bet. Knox say, neither do I, and I don't intend to, for sure. Some people list when men open up because men don't open up often. Why not, Knox? I agree with you, bro. I believe that men are open up often because it's not just from a misperceived space of weakness, right? I think a lot of that has to do with trust. I think a lot of that has to do with being comfortable. A lot of that has to be, I'm sorry, let me slow down. A lot of that has to do with us being able to know ourselves in that capacity. But when we don't allow ourselves to know ourselves in that capacity, not because we don't have the ability, because we just never let it manifest within us, right? We never let it formulate within us. So if it's not there to formulate when something ain't right with us, we stretch, right? Yo, get up off me, man. Let me get that crick out. Because there's nothing that we're used to, right? It's nothing that we can articulate what it is. We go to the doctor, be like, yo, so what you feeling? I don't even know, man. Something just ain't right. And then we want the doctor to tell us what's wrong with us, but we don't have the ability to tell him what's going on. And then he gets to poking, right? In that metaphor, it's people asking questions, right? For those who really love us, and it's up to us to make sure that the ones asking those questions really love us. Whole different conversation, though, not. Woo. Godfather said, ask me, I'll go through things and keep it to myself. I was taught to handle it. Ain't no crying, keep it moving. But men go through things. Men go through things when they're by themselves, for sure. Bro said, I feel like as men, we are taught to suck it up and move on. We are, dog. We definitely are. Now, I say the real reason why we keep it to ourselves is because what happens is if we open up, it allows us to expose some of our deepest personal thoughts, but only to someone that we trust. The problem is that some people like to talk and they think it's okay to share your story. It takes one time, not Tiff say, when I was raised, I was taught as a man to always provide, be the head. When things get rough, we tend to do things versus venting to release stress because most of us feel we'll be looked at less differently. And that's what we're saying, Tibbs. And that's a messed up responsibility to place on yourself, good brother. Hey man, you know what though? I appreciate the dialogue so much. We've been on this joint for an hour and 15 minutes. We really got 2 more parts and discussion. So this is what I'm gonna do. Because I truly appreciate everybody. And my algorithm tended to tell me that, an hour and 15, hour and 20 is really where we have the most effectiveness, where the conversation is solid like that, right? So, Gray Beards Matter, episode 23, Survivor Series Part 2 is going to be done in 2 parts. Next Thursday, we'll do the second part of this conversation. We'll do segments 3 and 4. Segment 3 is going to be how trauma affects our communication. In section 4, which may be the most important one, is what healing looks like for men. For sure, man. Hey, yo, Hindu, man. Welcome to the Gray Beards Matter fam, bro. You already know we's already squared up. Bruce Wayne Jr., Big Chuck, Knock, Neo, Godfather, Tibbs, Tanya Quinn. Hey, I appreciate all y'all for chiming in today, man. Y'all got me amped up. I really look. What's good? Big JD's in this building still. Hey, I really feel that we had a good dialogue, man. Again, it's not my way, just my opinion. I don't think we got into no numbers or about anything because it's not clinical, man. We just having real conversations with real people, right? Real life experiences. And I'm amped up with it for sure. And I think this would be a good time for us to transition to the closing. and then pick up with 2.2 next Thursday. All it's going to do is push back the next person we want to interview. And I'm going to do that so we have some reference, right? I don't want to have a big gap, but I'm going to do that for the Matterverse. So y'all, you know what it is, man. I can't thank you enough for tuning in for this hour and 16 minutes. I'm not even going to do the high five at 6. We're going to do that next time. Man, again, Thursdays now, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Gray Beards Matter, where we are the mature authority. You know what I mean? It's a safe space, safe time, Survivor Series Part 2.1. That's it. Tune in, man. If you haven't taken the opportunity yet, please go over to YouTube, Gray Beards Matter Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. This show here will be up probably tomorrow night. All the other ones, feel free to like, share, subscribe them. Holla at your man. Y'all know what it is, man. Until next Thursday. You know, hey, can't thank you enough for the space where I can, share my little story without feeling like I'm being judged. And then, at the same time, y'all giving me your life game too. It's your man, Big Cliff Eastwood, AKA Mr. Gray Beards Matter, where we are the mature authority and we ain't worried about nothing. Holla.